Welcome into Smooth Operators with your hosts, Noah, Griggs, and Ben, going through the world of Formula One.
If you want to interact with the show today, you can tweet at us at Noah_Phillips, at Junior_McClurkin, and at TheGriggsB. It's time for the green flag, and it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, folks, I'll be completely honest with you. I can't really tell when our intro starts and begins, so I really hope I got it right. But welcome into Episode 7 of Smooth Operators Summer Shenanigans. I'm joined by Griggs Blankenberg. Ben McClurkin will be joining us in just a little bit. He's driving back from Arkansas. And newcomer to the show, Paige Benning. How are you two feeling today?
I'm great. I'm never better. How are you?
Doing good. Glad to be back. We didn't have a race today, but we got one preview at the end of the show, so excited to talk about that.
I'm excited too, and I believe according to our Twitter, the first thing we're being talking about is Sergio Perez.
Yeah, so Sergio Perez, the last couple of races, we went from Noah talking about him a couple weeks ago to being a potential title contending partner for Max Verstappen to battle against to now not really being that competitive in one of the more dominating cars we've seen Max Verstappen drive in Formula One history. So the last race, I believe he got in last race in Canada. Let me just pull up the rankings real quick. What happened? He finished in my iPad is not loading. He finished in 6th, yes, in the last race. He did get the fastest lap, however, and then back in Spain, I believe he finished in where did it go? Yes, he finished in 4th, and then a couple other races back. He just hasn't been performing to the way he had been. Monaco, he finished in 16th. So not to the standard of what Red Bull had when he was winning every street circuit. He won Saudi Arabia. He won Baku. So now the question is really highlighted on him because he doesn't have too much longer on his contract.
Yeah, I will also say he's a good second driver, but he is not as consistent as we would like him to be. Also, I would discount Monaco completely if we're judging him based off his past finishes, because at the end of the day, Monaco comes down to qualifying, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing really to do with the technicalities within the race, especially because weren't they basically using him as a test dummy with tires?
I think that was what it was near the end. I think that's what it was going on when he was just running in 16th, really nothing to lose. So just kind of the test dummy for Max, because Max had built that gap where he could eventually come in and just pit for new tires. But yeah. But no, what do you think that? Because again, his contract's coming up soon. There's some talented people on the Red Bull Academy, like Liam Lawson's a name that comes up a lot. What do you think about that? Especially with again, we talk about this the same way with Aston Martin. We see Fernando Alonso driving really well and then Lance Stroll struggling a lot. We're kind of, yes, Checo has the race wins, but we're giving him a little bit more credit because he's already won a few races this year. But what do you think about that aspect of his driving right now?
Well, one thing about Sergio is he's always been the street circuit king, as you alluded to earlier. And finishing 6th at Canada, which is you can call it, I'd call it a street circuit, right? Because it is technically on public roads, and it is tight like a street circuit. And finishing 6th is not the best look for him, and finishing almost a full minute behind Verstappen. I mean, Alonso was only 10 seconds this week. You think he could be a little bit closer, especially with my two boys finishing 18 and 21 seconds apart from the leader. And with Sergio Perez, I don't know how much he's going to demand in the offseason money-wise, but if you're Red Bull, who just got their engineers poached for that Aston Martin team that you brought up, Red Bull may be looking to save a little bit of money, and they may have to if they want to keep some of these engineers on board, because at the end of the day, Verstappen is going to win these races as long as you give him a car. He doesn't need a great second driver as much as I would say he needs the car. So if I'm Sergio, I need to start proving my worth and trying to get the money that I'm worth in the offseason by performing this season where he's most comfortable with that in the past has been these street circuits. But with the 6th, I'm not too sure of what's going to happen coming forward in this season.
If I may, obviously silly season. That's one of us. I go to school for communications. Like, I love the contracts. I love all of that. I think with Checo, he's been in it so long. I don't think he really has any. I don't want to. Okay, that's mean. I don't want to say that. He definitely does have, standings behind him to show like, oh, I deserve more money. But at the end of the day, Red Bull has never had a problem cutting and replacing drivers ever. And Liam Lawson, yes, he's in Super Formula now. He has not finished outside the top 5. There have been 5 races. He's come in first twice, fourth once, and fifth twice. He has experience in Max's car. He's going to be a lot cheaper than Checo. I absolutely have no problem with pulling him up in there. I think it's just the most logical idea. He's already the reserve driver. But we can talk about that when we talk about Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, my thing also with Checo is you have to look back to last season too. I mean, before Monaco, there was really some concern about what they're going to do with Checo because he had not. I can't remember quite. I don't think he'd won up that season yet up until Monaco, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
But yeah, so like right after it happened, it kind of like I think they were in the contract negotiations in Monaco, but to think about like how much more leeway that gave him once he won Monaco, because then, yeah, he was playing just teammates for Verstappen a lot of the time, but even though he won, I think, one more race, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember for the life of me. But yeah, I mean, what Paige is saying, I mean, you can get Liam for a lot cheaper and a lot less than that. I mean, Checo's not done after the season if Red Bull decides not to up his contract or anything like that. He'll find somewhere else to go. I don't know. They might be looking for some new blood because, like Paige said, Red Bull's got no problem switching out drivers quickly. I mean, for the love of God, they switched out Pierre Gasly for Alex Albon in like not even, I think, halfway through the season. So not a really big problem for them. But yeah, I think Liam's a good idea. I mean, I don't think Lewis is going to come to Red Bull after the season. His contract ends for Mercedes. That'd be quite funny to see Max and Lewis as teammates. But yeah, I think Red Bulls might be keeping it in-house, whether it be their academy or deciding to give Checo probably another year on the contract. I just can't see them going out and like Lando Norris has too much longer on his contract, even though I will think he will go to one of those top 3 teams eventually. But
well, and it comes a lot down to pressure. If you remember Valtteri Bottas, he talked about it a lot when he finally left Mercedes for Alfa Romeo. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. He was just signing 1-year contract after 1-year contract after 1-year contract. The pressure was consistently on him to perform or outperform Lewis. And the pressure right now is not necessarily that on Checo because Max is leading the championship so much. And everyone pretty much has decided Max is winning the championship. It's really who's coming in second and who's coming in third. So I would like to see Red Bull put more pressure on him because I know that he can drive a lot better than he is now. But I do see Checo leaving. Going where? Not sure yet. But I do see him leaving and then pulling Liam Lawson in.
One thing
I'm trying to think of what. Oh, go ahead, Noah.
I was about to say, the name Liam Lawson. If you put a watch on a man named Liam Lawson, I think he would sell me on a Rolex or anything, any kind of watch you want to put on him. That is a great name for merchandising. Liam Lawson. That's almost like a wrestler.
His logo is the 2 L's, so it makes kind of like a rectangle.
I was not thinking about his logo would be like that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what Ben would say in regards to Checo because yeah, we talked about earlier season like he was 2-3 points back of. I know he was. I think the closest they were 7 points back. I think of the championship. So we were talking about like Checo's like oh, this could be a championship bout. I mean, I'm repeating myself from what I said earlier, but still, it's the thing that like how quickly this can change in this sport. Where it's just before they got to Miami, it's like, oh, this could be anyone's race. Oh, what's gonna happen? And then now we're round 10s this weekend. We're like less than 9, 10 weeks away. We're just like, yeah, I think he could lead Red Bull just because of the fact that like, yeah, he's currently in the standings. He is still second. He is 9 points ahead of Fernando Alonso, but still, the fact that Red Bull's just gotten to that point where they're just like, even though you are in second, you're never safe because like they're like, if we gave this car to anyone else in the grid, they're still putting in that same result. What do you bring to the table that really just makes you that much better? Because they're seeing Max do it, and they'll get a good driver on that car. Max is the closest margin he's had in the past couple races has been 10 seconds in Canada. So
Max laughed during the race in Canada. He's like, "Oh, nearly took myself out."
we didn't even
Like,
talk about this on the show last weekend, Noah. With the brakes, he had a bird in his brake duct, and he still won by 10 seconds. We didn't even mention that on the show last week.
I mean, I could win with a bird in my brake duct if I was driving a Red Bull like that. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Plus, he caught it like late in the race, didn't he?
He thought they talked about it pretty early because I think it was like he had a pretty like early communication. Like I can't remember. It was like round like lap like 10, 15. I think it was before I think George caused the safety car. I can't remember, but
I'm
still,
looking it up. I need to know.
I'm trying to think of what do you think Ben would say in regard to this? Because I don't know if he's going to join before we're done with this segment. No, what do you think he would
Ben
say in regards to Checo?
Ben would say that Red Bull needs to cut Checo and get Pierre Gasly. That's exactly what Ben would say.
Sounds like a familiar combo of teammates. I'm not.
That is a crazy hot take.
It
He-
is.
he Ben
I am
would-
very surprised Ben would say that, honestly. But
That's funny.
you know,
But yeah, maybe we'll get
we'll have
Ben.
to make sure he can confirm it. But
Yes. All right. So we'll just switch topics to our next topic. So oh, there's Ben.
Hello.
Speak of the devil.
he is. There he
Were y'all
is.
just talking about me?
Yeah, we
talking
wanted.
about you.
We were just finished with the Perez segment. What are your thoughts on should Red Bull re-sign Checo for next year?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, he has been underperforming quite a bit lately. He's been off the pace since his last race win in Saudi Arabia. Safe bet is yes. But do I want Daniel Ricciardo to replace him? Absolutely. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible.
What do you think about Liam? We've been talking about him a lot.
Oh, Liam Lawson. Yeah, his junior career has been impressive, I gotta say. And he's over there in Super Formula right now, and he's doing pretty well. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Liam Lawson came to F1.
So what you're saying is you think they're just going to keep it in-house?
Yeah, they'll keep it in the family.
I wish that I knew you guys earlier. All for like the past year and a half, up until like a couple months ago, I was really, really good friends with a Red Bull junior driver who's now in F2.
Oh,
And I was getting early access. Who's moving up, who's moving out. When Marcus Armstrong was going to IndyCar,
yeah.
who was moving up in the junior series. But at the end of the day, they're pulling for. I think they're still pulling for Liam, genuinely.
I think
But again,
so.
Helmut Marko just says stuff.
Yeah, he
so.
does say things.
He's got
What
that
are
leeway.
your thoughts on Felipe Drugovich getting a shot at Red Bull? Or at least at AlphaTauri, maybe.
I think that's a hot take. Is he still
Yeah.
signed with Aston Martin?
Yeah, I think so.
Seeing him do so well, or seeing Aston Martin do so well, I doubt they'll pull it. Red Bull has so many drivers in
They
their
do.
academy that are
They do.
so good.
But they have looked outside the academy before. For example, Nick DeVries. I would not have pinned him for the seat, and they kind of spontaneously signed him. So I'm not gonna put it past him.
That was a questionable choice,
I agree.
my personal opinion.
Keeping it with Red Bull now, let's talk about Daniel Ricciardo. So he's been in the news recently today. He wants back on the grid in 2024, but kind of what Ben was saying with he wants that fairy tale ending at Red Bull.
Mm.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I just want to get you guys' opinions on that. What do you think Daniel Ricciardo will be in a Formula One car in 2024? And if so, where? But if not, where else do you think he'd go? I think I know where Noah's going to say.
I don't think he's going to be in a Formula car. I think he's going to be in a funny car racing in the drag racing series somewhere across this great United States of America. And honestly, if he were to do that, I think he can make a ton of money. Because drag racing's kind of been on the up and up if you pay attention to the ratings. And putting Daniel Ricciardo in there with that great personality, they could print some money. Obviously, I'm kidding about that. I think he'll be in a Formula One car. Probably not with Red Bull, unless he thinks himself too high class to not race with Red Bull and go race for one of the lesser teams.
I think I agree with you. To a certain extent, Daniel Ricciardo would do phenomenally if he came to the U.S. I stand by IndyCar. There's a lot, almost, I think it's over half of the IndyCar drivers are European or have raced in European circuits. It's on a technical level close to the same, arguably harder because they don't have power steering like a Formula One car. But there's also a misconception that a lot of people don't understand, and it's that Daniel Ricciardo is not the reserve driver. Say Max or Checo get sick, they're not pulling Daniel. He is simply there to do tire strategy and run the sims. That's why they have a reserve driver. Daniel Ricciardo is not listed as a reserve driver. He is just their third driver.
Yeah.
So is he the best sim racer in F1 of all time, maybe?
No, Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Look at that kid. He's like if you put a nerd in an F1 car. Literally Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Man, Ben.
Inverse Gran Turismo.
He's a
That
beast.
is true.
He's a beast.
Ben,
Sims.
what do you think?
Ben thinks that Danny Rick is, like I said, probably a little likely, but just because of the Red Bull support behind Liam Lawson and the fact that he's doing real well in Japan. But career moves for Danny Rick would certainly be likely at IndyCar. Even with McLaren, you could use his McLaren ties. There's two drivers kind of on their way out. Scott Dixon's got another few years in him, but I think he's got a chance at IndyCar with them, and also they could use Red Bull's ties to Team Penske. I think he could have a shot there too.
I want to bring this up from an article on F1.com from Lawrence Barreto. I quote from his article. Where'd it go? Oh boy. Sources say a race seat at AlphaTauri next season is a genuine option for him, with both the Red Bull family and Ricciardo open to the move. I don't know if I could see that happen, just because we see Daniel Ricciardo as one of the faces of Formula One. That's why they keep him around so much. That's why they just had the grandstand last weekend with him doing like a mating cast, what they did for football with Will Arnett, because they know with that personality that Noah's talking about how he can drive people in. That's why I'm interested to see when it comes to Driver to Survive this year, because how much are they going to find a way to just use Daniel Ricciardo because he's not racing? And then I don't know. I remember hearing reports last year he was open to the people were considering him for the Haas seat, but he just didn't want to bring himself to that level. So I don't know if you're going to want to take yourself to a level under Haas to go that. Yes, it's still the Red Bull family, but I'm trying to think 2024. I want to say he stays on the grid. He gets back on the grid. I just can't pinpoint where I think he could go. Especially not if he's open to the move, like the source said here. Okay, I think he could do AlphaTauri. Even though would you get rid of the kid you just brought in? Do they just end Nick's contract early? Because right now it's looking like Yuki might. Yeah, Yuki might he's probably going to re-sign. So
yes, he's done really well. Yuki has done really well.
But if he doesn't do that,
come on.
But if he doesn't stay on the grid, I'd like to see him in IndyCar. I think that'd be a cool, interesting thing to see, especially with the way like he's been one of the faces of Drive to Survive. You could use that to your advantage. Whatever team signs him, like Ben said, Team Penske, all across America, you're getting people to who are more into Formula One could find a way. That could be your bridge to get them into IndyCar more. I think that could be a great move for them. Other than that, yeah, I think that those are his really only two options, really, AlphaTauri or IndyCar.
Hmm.
Is a Williams seat open?
No,
Logan, and I think they're probably going to re-sign Albon probably if it comes
they.
down to it.
I think they are. I think the only question is um how Logan does with the upgrades, because obviously last race he looked terrible, but that's because he was still running the older spec car and Alex was on the new upgraded cars. So that pace differential may have been due to the upgrades. If it's not and it's due to raw pace, I think we could see him out by next year, by the end of next season at the soonest. That's my conservative estimate, but I think the most likely spot in F1 for Danny Rick is probably AlphaTauri, but that just further solidifies their reputation as where F1 careers go to die. I mean, Pierre Gasly did something remarkable after getting sent back to Toro Rosso and then AlphaTauri. But for the most part, if you get sent back there, you're not coming back up. And I mean, Gasly and Albon are the exceptions. Again, I will reinforce that. But like Sainz never moved up, you know? Like there's a reason for that. His career only was going to go so far at Red Bull, and you can either stay in AlphaTauri and your career will suffocate and kind of just sit there and be stagnant, or you transfer out of the Red Bull team, because currently those top two spots are going to be held by somebody outside of AlphaTauri or by somebody within the academy that's not at AlphaTauri. That's just the way it's looked so far. And we all know Max is going to stay as the number one seat. There's not going to be any replacement for him anytime soon.
Color me shocked.
No way. How long is the contract? I don't even remember.
They keep it so close to the vest, honestly. You just get to that point where it's just like, I mean, we look up stuff for the show all the time with that the contracts, and then like it'll be like the only way you know they're on their last year of a contract is if they're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because they don't. I think we knew Leclerc's and Lando's, and then other ones that were close to the vest. We just didn't really get the details on. They keep it really close to what they're saying, but it is what it is. I think you just can't. Daniel Ricciardo will be somewhere. We just don't know where yet, but we'll find out. No,
I
any
think
close?
they're keep using him for marketing purposes.
He's done
Yeah.
really good with a pretty face, I gotta say.
No, any closing thoughts?
Did any of y'all watch the In the Grandstand thing they did on ESPN? Was it 2 or was it just Plus?
I watched a few. It was 2. I watched a few clips. I watched mainly the one where it was him and Josh Allen, and then Marshawn Lynch. That was kind of funny. I think,
Yeah,
and then also, but Will.
Did Lynch say anything bad like he normally does?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The one interview that he was happy to be at.
I think it was interesting too because from the clips I watched, I didn't think Will Arnett was really big into Formula One. That's what I kind of got. I think they were just kind of looking for a celebrity, like, okay, who can learn the quickest about the sport that we can put on there with a guy who knows a lot about it.
Yeah, but he hosts a podcast on it too.
Will Arnett does?
It's not as good as Smooth Operators, I'll tell you one thing.
No, we're top dogs.
Oh boy. But yeah, let's move on to the main portion of this episode, which will be the Austria Grand Prix, more specifically at the Red Bull Ring. I'm not going to read out the legal official name for this race. I'll try it actually. Formula One Rolex Grosser Perez von Österreich 2023. So that probably means Rolex Grand Prix, Austrian Grand Prix. But yes, it is the Red Bull Ring. It is 71 laps. 10 turns, 3 DRS zones with a race distance of 306.452 kilometers, 4.318 kilometers a lap. And the lap record is currently held by Carlos Sainz back in 2020, 1 minute, 5 seconds, 0.619, the Red Bull Ring. Thoughts?
Really good track. Short lap, like almost a minute. Exactly. I'll be right back. I have to get a charger.
I'm a fan of the short lap only because there is so much within that lap. The first half you have so much straight line speed and power that's so crucial, but then towards the end of the lap you're getting chicanes, you're getting, high-speed braking, stuff that is entertaining.
Those last
And-
3 corners. Oh,
No, go
Sorry.
ahead, please.
those last 3 corners are so exciting to watch. You go 6th gear to 5th gear to 3rd gear, and then flat. Yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
You're good. No, I know you got some choice words for it.
I love it. It's one of my favorite tracks.
I'll be.
Noah's. I was about to say you're thinking about something.
I am thinking about something. I'll be completely honest with everyone. Until Griggs sent me the stuff to make the graphic this week, I thought we were going to Hungary, and I was so excited to go to Hungary. When I looked and I saw Austria, I was like, I'm happy, but I wanted to go to Hungary this week.
What made you think we were going to Hungary?
I don't know. I have no idea what made me think we were going to Hungary this week. I have the schedule on my calendar app, and I just thought we were going to Hungary. I thought I was gonna make a graphic with a Hungarian flag, but instead I got to do a Red Bull.
Which
no,
you love to do. No, you love Red Bull.
I do love the Red Bull. It's right here on the YouTube graphic, my little Red Bull inside the arch that I had to use the St. Louis arch to make the design off of. One of the things about Austria that I'll actually say on it is it's up in the mountains, and Red Bull used to win a lot of those races because of that. They had the great streamlined speed. We also used to hear about that all the time down in Mexico. I believe that's one of the reasons it's called the Red Bull Ring, outside of the fact that Red Bull, I believe, started their business in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
It is a track. The track can obviously be dominated by Red Bull, especially with the way they still build their engines and they still build their aerodynamics. That's ever so slightly helped by that higher altitude and thinner air that they can cut through.
Yeah, I think also. Oh, Ben, go.
No, you got it.
I was just saying, talking about going back to last year, I mean, how entertaining this was, because there were track limit violations after track limit violations after track limit violations. There were so many. Not even forget when Carlos Sainz's engine turned into a microwave near the end of that. But
A microwave with a fork in it.
That's
Yes.
cruel. That is cruel.
But you have to think, like, the kind of what we were Paige was talking about earlier, just the start of it, just the back end of it having so many turns, but then from turn 10 to basically turn 3, it's really just like an L. You just got the 2 DRS zones really near there, because the only time you're turning off that DRS zone is right at turn 1. Then it's right back again if you're close. So, and then right after you're done with turn 3, right back again into turn 4. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the shorter lap, especially since we have a sprint race this weekend. Once again, this is one of the sprint races at the Red Bull Ring. But
no.
Isn't it technically called a shootout now?
did they? Oh yeah, they changed all of them. Yeah, the sprint shootout. I mean, that's the qualifying for the sprint race now, and then there's the sprint race. So the qualifying, which is on the 30th of June, will be just for the race. Now, instead of what they used to do, which was practice, qualifying, sprint race, they added that extra. Which I remember talking about that. I didn't. What did I say about it? I said I like the idea of going one practice, qualifying, sprint, race, using just the same qualifying for the race and the sprint.
I think that's what they're doing, but they just threw another practice in there to make it a 3-day, right?
And they just wanted to. No, they add the sprint shootout to make more money. It's more races to watch.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the new format now. It's going to go Friday, practice, then qualifying for the actual race. Saturday, the sprint shootout, and then the sprint race, same day. Sunday is the full race.
I remember them testing, it's an interesting, because I just want the shorter thing, like the practice, qualifying, sprint, race. So 4. I know they want to get as much in as they can for like the revenue and all that, but still, just there's got to be a better way than to do 2 separate qualifying sessions. Give them another practice if you have to.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. It doesn't count for anything. I like it because the car goes on the track more, but it's one of those things. It's like a sequel to a movie that was not needing a sequel.
This will be a prequel. No, this will be a prequel because it has before the actual race.
be broke Ben's brain or he's lagging?
I think it might be both.
Yeah,
No, I think that's just his brain, guys.
it's just like it's like imagine a movie that was really good and then they make another movie of the same series. Sorry, I didn't phrase it exactly perfectly, but I think you get my point. It's like you're kind of losing a bit of the purity of the racing aspect, and it's more show than racing, I guess is the best way to put it.
Now, Ben, I told you the last time we talked about this, and you were okay with it. I said they're going to keep doing this until they run it into the ground and they make it more entertainment than sport. And you said,
They're
no,
totally
it's
gonna do it.
okay. You said,
And
no, it's okay.
it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it, and I selfishly enjoy there being more racing, but for the benefit of the sport as a whole, it's not really a good thing. But I'm entertained by it. So yeah, I can maintain my stance on that.
I think this is also a biased personal opinion, just because some of the friends that I have, I think that there should be a much heavier emphasis on the junior category, specifically F2, because that was a car, sorry. So many drivers funnel up through those programs. Show this F2 race, because they do a sprint race on Saturday and
Mhm.
then a reverse grid on Sunday. I'm almost positive. Or maybe it's reverse grid, whatever. But get rid of the sprint in F1 and make that the big event. It's like throwing a party, but throwing a pre-party to your party.
Mm.
It's like
I don't know. That's a personal choice.
it's like
That way you get more revenue.
I agree. It's like being entertained by college football and then NFL football. It's like you
You can
have
do
you have
both.
your Saturday excitement that's a little bit less skillful and a little bit less high stakes, and then you have Sundays where these people are racing for their jobs. I think
Exactly.
I think
And
that's a good idea.
Friday and F2 is qualifying.
Yeah, and it's entertaining.
So
Those guys
and it
crash.
gives you more people to market. I genuinely think that that would be the best idea. I also hate the sprint races, personally. They just make me angry. So that's my biased choice.
That's funny. I think a good
Maps
step,
of watching Max Verstappen lead versus 52 or whatever.
And F2 is so entertaining.
Yeah,
There's always something going on. There's always an issue.
there's a lot of shenanigans.
And there's so many. I think they run like not 30, but they run over 20 cars.
Yeah, it's like 28 cars right now.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
They don't have to set up anything new at all. It's right there. Just capitalize on it. That's a hot take.
I think you got to find a way to like get it on like the ESPN channels. Like at least make it so I don't have to get a separate subscription for like F1 TV to watch the F2. I think that could be a big step for them. Just make it available to as many people as possible, not behind a paywall. I think that could be a key. But they just probably want to make more money. That's probably why one of the reasons that they still sell F1 TV in different countries. So
I
I'm
definitely do
surprised.
have an F1 TV subscription. I can't lie.
How is
But
it?
I use my roommates from last year's for some
like,
reason.
I think it's fire. But I also share it with my two siblings. And I use it because I also use multi-viewer. So I got the whole setup going when I'm watching the race. I'm also a fan because you can access, like, I have friends that drive an F2. I can watch that easily. They used to drive an F3. I could watch F3 easily. I can go back. Also, when you go to watch it, if I'm starting, say, like I'm out running an errand in the morning before the race, and I come back, 15 laps in, it lets you start from the beginning if you want, or start live. I don't know. Obviously, this is my own personal choice. And, I was desperate last year. I was in Europe for the summer. So there's no ESPN in Europe. And I did not have Sky Sports.
You're not a Sky Glass or a Sky Q customer?
Maybe. I'm moving to London in the fall. So we'll see. Maybe I will be a Sky Glass.
I'm very surprised ESPN Plus or ESPN hasn't argued for F2 and all that to go on Plus.
It
Yeah.
is.
Because I feel like you can just.
It's
Oh,
on
it is?
ESPN Plus.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is? Okay.
Because I used to pay for ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
And then, without thinking, moved and also didn't think, oh, maybe I should just use a VPN. I was like, nah, let's just throw all my money into F1 TV. Which, questionable choice. Am I going to pay for the the renewal? That's in 4 days. Yes, I will.
Wouldn't it have been
Fair
Euros
point.
then? Since you're in Europe, it been Euros?
No, it's well, maybe at the time it was, but now that I'm back in the US, it just charges, I think it's like $80 for a whole year, which
Sky Sports converts it at some point. They convert it to Euros.
well, I can't hate on Sky Sports. Comcast owns Sky Sports, so I don't know. Comcast is also based in Philadelphia, and I'm in Philadelphia, so.
Fair. Looking at the weather for Austria this week, Friday's going to be a lot of cloudy. I think it's going to rain early Saturday, so before all the racing happens. So it looks like it's just going to be a pretty, just like meh kind of weekend, really. Just not too much sun if it decides to rain a lot Saturday morning, but should be just a normal track conditions, really. But talking about that,
Austria is kind of subjective, though. It's prone to get rain.
fair enough.
And
It could show up eventually.
Yeah.
I would like rain for the sprint. I think that would make that, because it's not super tight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think sprints, like you put a sprint in Baku, I'm not watching that because it scares me. Because it's so tight and so dangerous. But give me a sprint in Zandvoort, go for it. I'll watch it. Give them some rain, mix it up. That means there's going to be rain for F2. Mix it up. I like to watch it. Makes it more fun, but just not the real race. That stresses me out too.
And with that, let's just go ahead and get into our predictions. We'll start, since it's a little bit different, we got to do a sprint one as well. Let's just start with normal qualifying. Who does everyone think is going to start on pole? We'll start with Ben, then we'll go to Paige, then Noah, then myself. Ben, pole. Who's getting it this weekend?
Pole position goes to the man who races under the number 1, Max Verstappen, by like even a 10th. I'm going to give him a 10th.
I honestly. Oh, wait. So that means they're doing. What day of the week are they doing qualify? I literally haven't read.
Friday.
Friday. If it's dry, Max. If it's wet, questionable. I want to say it would still be Max, but Fernando within a 10th.
Ooh.
That's a hot take.
Off strategy, it would have to be. It would have to be because of how Max qualified in the wet at Canada was unstoppable.
Yeah.
I like that take. I like that. That's spicy.
All right, Noah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go after Max Verstappen. I think this is an M, but I think it's Max Verstappen by more than a 10th, probably by a lot more than a 10th. I mean, it's their home track. I know Max is not from there, but Red Bull's from there apparently. They need to further their dominance there. I mean, it would sell more cans of Red Bull if they did that. So I know they probably want to do that as well, and Max will deliver on his side inside the cockpit.
My loose take last week didn't look well, even though I'm like, oh, they're getting better. And then he just decides to, the rain. It was the rain. I'm convinced the rain happened.
It was the rain.
No, I don't. Yeah, it was the rain. But yeah, I'm gonna go Max. Just, of course, it's got to be him. Just, we saw him. I think he took pole here last year. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I know Charles won the race, but I think Max did take pole. I can't remember for the life of me. Probably Charles did take pole, I think. Now that I'm thinking about it. But
given Charles' to win ratio, it's probably Charles took pole and Max won.
No, Charles did win.
Okay.
I remember that.
Okay.
But
I think Max took pole because it was the first time in, I think, 2 or 3 years that the winner had not been on pole, because being on pole here is apparently more important than I thought it was.
I kind of do remember that. Now you're saying that, but yeah, I think it's still Max. Like, even if there is rain, I think like Red Bull would be pretty quick to get him out there as quick as possible. Give him one lap, tell him to stay inside track limits, even though he doesn't listen to that all the time, and then just hope for the best. But yeah, I
Well,
got
we
that.
all know it's going to be Max. Who are we thinking front row? That's the better
Ooh.
question. Because Max, like, come on. My mom's
Right.
like, oh, who won? Who qualified? You know, who's on pole? Max.
Yeah, my dad just asked me. He doesn't watch F1. He goes, "Did Max win again every Sunday?" I'm like, "Yeah."
My parents have a vendetta against Max. I'm like, man, just let him live.
He has
Yeah.
enough people not liking him.
Everybody likes Schumi, but he made like 6 years in a row boring. So I think we're okay.
Look at Lewis.
Oh yeah.
All right, Ben.
Uh,
Who's getting front row then? So who's second?
Front row P2. Mm,
We know you're a big Alex Albon fan, Ben.
I mean, honestly, they have a chance at that track. That car's floor is completely flat underneath. I mean, come on. Like, it's I really do. I wanted to say when we get into predictions, I'll get more into that. But P2, I think Fernando's going to live up to his promise of finishing on the podium for the rest of the races of this season. He's going to be P2 and he's going to hold it.
I made that claim. I stand by it. I'm also a Fernando Alonso fan. So I'm biased once more.
We are the most biased podcast. I think Noah's just still not smiling yet because he knows this is a Red Bull ring. He's a Ferrari fan.
Dude,
Dang.
how are you still fighting?
I'm not really.
Like,
I'm just.
You
See,
gotta be a masochist.
no. See, the thing is, I'm also a poker player, and the WSOP is going on right now. So I'm just like ever so slightly watching that instead of paying attention to Ferrari. So there's that. So
That's so valid.
Who's P2, Noah?
P2 for qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the thing will turn back on.
He's got the motion lights in the
There we
bullpen.
go. Yeah, the motion lights are not working for some reason here in the lovely bullpen in the Bradley Basin studio inside the Milton Student Center. P2, I mean, give me Lewis Hamilton. I think that he could do something here. Alonso may have a problem. I think Lewis is just going to be hungry for it.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to get the Lewis pole prediction after. I'm like, he didn't win a race last year, but he could definitely get on pole again after their improvements. I'm gonna change it up a little bit. Give me George Russell. Keep it with Mercedes, but he likes to get crazy.
To know your George Russell opinions.
He likes to get be crazy every once in a while with that, especially with him and Max having a little bit of a disagreement a little while ago back in Baku. So yeah, give me George Russell. And my opinions on George Russell, I mean, kind of like what we said with Checo. He's getting the job done, even though Lewis fans don't really like many people who race right now. But yeah, he's just an interesting person. He's just so cut and dry though, which I find pretty funny sometimes. So, and I think he's
on board.
I think he's a crazy racer. Just imagine the amount of confidence you get going from Williams to Mercedes like that. That's just got to be a huge confidence booster. Like, okay, I can do this. I can do anything. He's their most recent race winner too.
They had a screen on the car. He's like, "Whoa, that's crazy." They have a screen on the steering wheel, not like your Williams.
Like, this one has buttons? No way. What does this do?
What's this, a point? I've only gotten a couple of those before.
This one has a
You mean
clutch. What?
You mean I can actually get out in front and win a race?
Dude, if George gets P2 in qualifying, that onboard is going to be wild.
Crikey.
Oh, he's going to say something so beyond British.
Oh, it's going to be terrible. And then at the race start, watch out, Max. George has built up himself a little reputation as a human torpedo. So I don't want to say that he's gonna make something bad happen to Max Verstappen, but I mean,
that's just rear wing.
I wouldn't put it past him.
You know, that would open the door for someone else to win. And you know, I love Max. I don't want anyone to get hurt. Throw him off in the gravel?
That's exactly what it would be in the gravel trap at turn 1.
Hey, Carlos Sainz lived after what happened last year. You could hope for that.
Well, Max starts P14. He could be at the back and still win.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair point.
there's really no hope.
Fair
I
point.
need
The
like
best
a
race,
suspension failure.
the best races this season have been when Max has been further back in the grid after qualifying. So, yeah. All right. Let's go to a non-finish. Let's go to a non-podium finishing prediction. So just any prediction outside the podium. We usually do what we do, Paige, is we do a kind of a normal prediction, which is right here, and then we do a crazy one, which never really happens, and then we do our normal podiums. Even though I've hit a few of the crazy ones this year, but all right,
Okay.
Ben.
Points for Williams. I think more specifically, points for Logan Sargent. I've been saying it, and he's come close, and then the race goes badly for him. But I think this race, they have the upgrades. They have the straight line speed advantage over several of their competitors, including AlphaTauri, who is a very draggy car. So, all that to say, I think we could see Logan Sargent get his first points, and I don't feel like that's that far fetched.
So this is not supposed to be the crazy take?
Yeah.
Or it is the crazy take?
Not.
You're gonna have something wild. Then are you going like another 1-2 for McLaren or something? For your crazy prediction or something?
I was gonna say Logan Sargent in the points was definitely gonna be my crazier prediction. I can't lie. Because that's such a bold take.
You gotta go out there for your crazy one.
All right, so I gotta come up with a new one. I think I personally want to say double McLaren. I want to say McLaren 4-5. Yeah.
Is this your crazy
Same
take?
prediction? Oh my goodness.
Is this your crazy or your normal take?
I want actually. Okay, wait. No, I'm adjusting this, and this is gonna be my normal
say,
take.
I was about to say.
This is gonna be my normal take.
Okay.
Lance Stroll 4, Alex Albon 6, Lando 5. And I don't think that's that crazy.
That's not. You just gotta hope on Alex just continuing to.
And Logan
get that
Sargent
same performance.
P10 is not that wild, or is wild.
Logan Sargent P10 is wild.
Okay, but Alex Albon P5.
Alex finished 7th last race.
All right,
and I
Noah.
mean, you've seen the bottom of that car. Come on.
It's smooth, but it's smooth and it's fast because it's smooth in a straight line. And guess what? Most of the Red Bull ring is straight line.
Noah.
I was just gonna say somebody's gonna wind up in the gravel trap at some point. That's my prediction. I don't know what you two are doing over here. Y'all are
in
like
the gravel trap.
y'all are splitting tens over here. I don't know what y'all are doing. Y'all are gambling.
What am I gonna do? No, my crazy prediction last week, 2 weeks ago, was crazy.
Wait,
do
what?
I say that? I said double Alfa Romeo points.
I don't
it was
think
close.
That's that crazy.
It was close. No, it was last week though, but they were terrible. Do I say the forbidden name, guys, for who I think is gonna do well?
No,
do it.
Don't do it. No.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Esteban Ocon, top 6.
That's the forbidden name. I'm gonna need some more context.
No, okay. The context behind this is I said last year when we first started the show, every single time I mentioned Esteban Ocon, I'm like, oh, he's gonna have a good weekend. Oh, that he would do terrible. And then whenever I didn't mention him, he'd do really well.
So you're praying on his downfall this week.
No. I'm gonna try to reverse the curse now. This is what this is all about now. I want to see if the curse is still going after last year. So if he doesn't get points, we'll figure something out. But yeah, I think
he's had a strong string of results. I'd like to see it. I'm testing him after he's had a few strong results. After he got up, I'm surprised I didn't say anything after Monaco. I'm like, I should probably test him after he did that in Monaco. But yeah, I think he's gonna finish top 6 for Esteban Ocon. All right, I'm interested to see what Ben and Paige have cooked up for this one. Let's get the crazy take. All right, Ben. Leclerc spins in both practice sessions and qualifying.
That was just a Noah joke.
Okay, I was like, man,
You have no faith.
That said, he did.
We have.
He's
I
Be
have
clear,
so
then,
much
okay.
faith in Charles Leclerc. Let's keep it
won
real.
every session one weekend, except the race, which he did pretty well in it. But seriously, folks, my wild prediction, I guess, has to be more wild than what I said earlier. So, okay, let me think. Kevin Magnussen makes it to Q3, and then doesn't set a time in Q3. He'll just take the 10.
Okay. That's definitely interesting. I mean, especially after Hulkenberg got a P2 last week, even though it doesn't really count rain, but that and Logan Sarge, okay. That's an interesting one. All right, Paige.
I'm hoping for the minnows.
Guys, you're gonna have to. I still need to. I need to cook this up a little more. I've
Okay,
been thinking about it the whole time.
Okay,
Now
we
I
can
need
go
to
to-
come up with something outlandish.
We can go to Noah then. Noah, you have
Okay.
anything?
You know what? You said the forbidden name. I'm going to
Oh,
say
no.
the forbidden name. T Swift is going to be at this race. It's in Austria. It's a wonderful part of the world. It's up in the mountains. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. They have a massive statue of a Red Bull for the Red Bull Ring. Taylor Swift has to be there this time.
The Alonso rumors have stopped. You can't keep going to this one.
I can. Hang on. Livy Dunn is at Nashville right now with Chase Elliott. All right, they posted it on NASCAR's Instagram. So Taylor Swift will have to make an appearance in Austria.
She's not at the
She-
College World
she's-
Series.
No,
Well, Livy was. She was originally, but no. That's like
Right.
I'm pretty sure she's still on her Eras tour, Noah. So that one could be a little bit interesting.
Yeah,
She can
she's
take a
definitely gonna be in
break.
Cincinnati.
She can take a break. Yeah, you can
Cincinnati
stop
don't.
touring.
Since she went to Cincinnati for the tour,
Man,
there's no
she's
way
going
Cincinnati
everywhere.
is paying that much money to see Taylor Swift.
Yes, they are. They're everywhere. There were 30,000 people outside the Philadelphia Stadium. 70,000 inside. 30,000 outside.
Is that why the bridge
Cincinnati's
collapsed?
not big enough though. There's not that's not a big enough market for Taylor.
Imagine Taylor Swift's the reason the I-95 collapsed because all those people were standing near it.
Man,
No,
geographically so incorrect. But like,
Well,
don't
I
even joke about that. Although they live streamed it. They live streamed them fixing it. 12 days. It was finished.
I remember hearing about that. Was great. I just wanted to throw in that Philly thing because I know all the stadiums are next to each other, but I was hoping to swing and hopefully the I-95 be near the stadium because I saw the memes. The guys were like, yeah, I woke up and people were texting me about the I-95 and that guy. That was funny.
Yeah. Not far.
How far, like mileage wise, you think I was
Oh God.
from the lake, from the I-95 bridge? How do you think? If it's within 5 miles, I'm counting that as a win, even though probably couldn't hear her from 5 miles away.
No.
Or maybe you could. I don't know.
No, you
Alright.
probably could.
All right, let me cook something up. I wanted to say no. What did you? Okay. That's not that crazy. I've already said that one before. Stroll finishing above Alonso. That's not that crazy. All right, let's get wild. Okay. Yuki Tsunoda. I'm going him 7th. And I'm with Ben on this. I think Logan will also score this weekend. So give me Logan top 10, Yuki top 7.
Okay.
All right.
That would probably be the highest
That
point
was
scoring
this one.
total for Yuki this year, but no, I was gonna say like a Ferrari like 2-3, but that's not possible. So
yes, it is.
It's always possible.
It's
What are you
not
talking about?
possible. What's possible for Ferrari is a 1-2. All right, don't forget it. Yeah.
Possible
Right.
for McLaren to have a 1-2.
that is-
Look, my man's got to get out of there, and I stand by that.
Yeah, he needs to go.
all right.
Move.
You've had your extra time. What you got?
Okay. Well, I'm going to continue the fact that Logan Sargent getting points is a hot take. I'll throw that in there. So I will agree with you. I want to say that by the end of the race, I have Checo DNF, both Haas's out, and I want Valtteri Bottas to consistently stay top 6. I actually don't think that's that crazy.
Watch
It kind of is.
everyone
The-
finish.
The Haas part, I get that. I could see happening. The Checo one would be another, like, I could see that having the string of bad. Like, just the fact that just me just seeing Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa Romeo be consistent. I mean, we've seen him do it last year a little bit in qualifying and stuff like that in some of the early races, but I mean, that would be a welcome surprise. He's 15th right now, only scored 5 points this year, but
Hey, he posted a picture with his bare butt on Instagram.
he does that like
And
every
then
year now.
Lewis posted a thirst trap. That means someone got fired. That's just how it works.
Do you guys see the thing on?
Is racing?
You see the girl? Wait, Ben, did you see the girl on Twitter who's like, there was Lewis took a selfie with Max and Fernando, and she's like, I swear, if Lewis, if you post this, I'm gonna like unfollow you. And he liked her
did.
comment and posted it. Oh, I saw on Twitter. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
That's awesome. Pierre Gasly needs to stay off of Twitter. And they just really got to PR train my man because he just says some outlandish things.
Liked by Pierre Gasly is an entire tag on
Subgenre.
Reddit. It's a flag
That's
on Reddit.
fine. I'm talking about him going, like, what position am I starting in? Or his nickname that he decided all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
He's a
All right.
hoot. He's a hoot.
He's definitely something.
Here's something.
all right. The grand finish of the show. Let's go with our podium, starting from P3 all the way to P1. Ben, as usual, start us off.
All right. P3. I'm simmering. Okay. P3, Lewis Hamilton. P2, Fernando Alonso. P1, Max Verstappen. I'm going for the twofer. I'm going to repeat my podium predictions from last week, and I'm going to be right just like last week. I know it. I
You
feel
had
it.
to throw that in there, didn't you?
I did.
God.
After a
Okay.
crazy qualifying, I was like, there's no way it's going to end up this way. And then Fernando passed Lewis, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could actually be right. It was great.
That's why Ben
Reliving.
had to get. That's why Ben had to get back from Arkansas in time for the show, just so he could tell the people that he was right.
He's like, no, you can't start the show at 6 Eastern. You have to wait for me.
He has to hit I told you so. And I respect that. I genuinely do.
Thank you.
All right.
Understand.
P3. I want to say George Russell. P3 George Russell. P2 Fernando Alonso. P1 Max. I'm sticking with my Lance Stroll P4. I have faith in Lance Stroll.
I like it.
That's a hot take.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. The gap between him and Fernando is very similar to the gap between Perez and Alonso. So if both of them figure it out, anything is possible.
Hey, Lance has his father's love behind him. Okay?
How much longer, though, is the question.
Oh, as long as he owns the team. Come on.
That's the number one driver at Aston Martin, Lance Stroll. We're talking about.
Yeah. Come on. Don't dog on my man like that.
I forgot about that. Man, Lance, what a guy. I like
Noah.
him. Though. He's a decent driver.
I need a
You know-
Lance podium. That would.
You know, his real name isn't even Stroll. It's like Strollovich or something like that.
Yeah, that's sick.
That is.
Stroll,
I don't know why
Stroll
he'd
sells
shorten
watches,
it though.
brother.
I don't know why he'd shorten it though. I guess
Str-
it just makes it easier to say. But I don't know. All right,
Stro-
we got on
Stroll-
track. Noah.
okay. First off, Stroll sells watches in America, brother. And 2, all right, we had a 4-5 after a great pit execution that I mocked in the moment. But Ferrari, P3, Charles Leclerc, P2, Fernando Alonso, and P1, Max Verstappen. It's Red Bull Ring for a reason. I think he wins. I think Charles Leclerc can get a P3. I think we're going to be 2 for 2 on pit stop strategies for in a row for races, and Leclerc will get a podium in Austria.
Are you getting enough airflow down there?
I'm not. I'm riding high on the ideals. You got to believe, as they would say in wrestling.
Opium. Opium.
The copium is real.
Air supply, buddy.
All right, here we go.
You're sure the booth isn't hooked up to the tailpipe of a car?
I could say a South Park line right there, but I'm not going to because it would be bad. All right, let's go. George Russell P3, Lewis Hamilton P4, P2, Max Verstappen P1. So we're gonna get a 2-3 Mercedes, I think.
Where are we putting?
Where are we putting Fernando? I'm putting him 4th. Because I think
he made a problem, man.
I mean, look, Lewis. If Lewis wants to stay in the race for top 3, top 2, he's got to get past Fernando at some point, and I think he could try to do it, close the gap here a little bit. Because, like, I don't know. I just wanted to say that to be different from everyone because I didn't want to put all the same drivers in one. But I do think that, especially with the way Lewis has been racing recently, he can do that. It's just a matter of. I mean, I said George Russell will finish second in qualifying, so P3 isn't too far out of the equation if he can hold that for if they nail their pit stops.
I think George Russell's going in the traps.
I thought you had him in P3.
I definitely did. But
contradiction.
Here's the thing. There's no way you have George finishing above Fernando Alonso.
I mean, there's a lot of they had to race 71 laps across the finish line. Fernando could have a problem at some point, and if you think they're going to be a 2-4 for Aston Martin, that's kind of crazy, honestly. And
all right,
Lance has got to get it going.
I think it's 2-3 for Mercedes it's already
happened this year.
Max is not Max. George is gonna put at least 2 people in the trap.
Fine, but if George Russell gets a penalty, this prediction is off because I don't.
No, we're still
never
on.
send that prediction.
We're still on. If he is problematic, which he will be, your prediction will be held against you.
Well, good thing he's starting P2 in my mind because then the only person he can hit in front of him is Max.
Which he has.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. And he also.
You think he'll be able to catch up to him?
Zhou Guanyu, no, he does. He will not be able to.
Exactly.
Actually,
he's going to cause a problem for everyone behind him.
Speaking of problematic drivers, why do you have Stroll in 4th? Like, if he's anywhere near anyone else, it's going to be a hazard.
I don't think Stroll is that bad. I think that there are worse.
Oh, for sure.
Not much.
I think he's okay, especially with the good car they have this year. It's just I don't know. I can't.
Fernando twice in the same race.
I don't see him finishing above. I think he'll finish top 6 or 7. I just don't think 4, especially with Aston Martin having to hit both pit stops. But yeah, I mean,
give him a gap, it'll be fine. Just don't put other cars around him.
Paige make me start to regret this Mercedes prediction, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
But yeah, thank you. This has been a good show. Thank you so much, Paige, for coming on. I think you said you're going to be in London in the fall, but we'd love to have you back on at some point because this is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Smooth Operators. If you missed any of today's episode, you can check it out on your favorite podcast platform tomorrow. But until next week, for Ben McClurkin, Noah Phillips, Paige Benning, I'm Griggs Blankenberg. This has been Smooth Operators on Weagle 91.1 FM. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow our Twitter at SMOP Podcast if you feel so inclined. But until next time, have a great week, everyone, and War Eagle.